You ever walk into a place, chest tight, heart racing, thinking, maybe this time they'll see me? That's exactly where she was. A black woman in her mid-50s, dressed sharp, breathing like someone was squeezing her ribs, walked into the glossy, overfunded ER of a city that likes to pretend it's balanced. But it wasn't. This was the kind of place where the lobby chairs were plush and white folks got called before their asses even hit the seat. And she knew it. She felt it. Still, she approached the desk with her breath jagged, one hand on the counter for balance. The nurses didn't flinch. One cocked her head. The other barely looked up. Insurance? Identification? No. What's wrong? No. How can we help? Just questions with teeth. She was told to sit. So she did. No triage. No urgency. No eye contact, just the damn TV blaring infomercials and her chest getting tighter by the minute. Hours passed. People limped in, moaned, even laughed through paper cuts and got ushered in like they had VIP passes. But her, nah. She just waited, head down, fingers moving fast on her phone like they were scribbling her own lifeline. Because what nobody in that ER knew, not the nurse with the eye roll or the dude chewing gum behind the intake glass, was that she wasn't just another patient. She wasn't some poor lady off the street. She was the CEO of the entire damn health system. Every doctor, every nurse, every corner of that hospital answered to her, the budget. She signed it. That new cardiac wing they'd bragged about in press releases, she greenlit it. And now, while they iced her out like she was invisible, she was quietly documenting every moment. When her assistant showed up 20 minutes later, panicked, breathless, and armed with 2 phone calls and a badge, the tone in the lobby snapped. The nurses froze. The intake guy swallowed hard. A junior doctor ran out from the back with apologies so fast they tripped over themselves. Too late. She stood without a word, not angry, just done. Her assistant held the door open, and the last thing she said before stepping into her car was this: "Pull security footage. I want timestamps. Then get me every department head on a call, tonight." And just like that, the hospital learned the most brutal lesson about power. It doesn't always look like what you expect. Sometimes it sits in your waiting room, sweating in silence, holding a phone. Sometimes it watches how you treat people when you think they don't matter. By the next morning, 5 staff members were under internal investigation. 2 were suspended without pay. Sensitivity training was fast-tracked, system-wide. But more than that, a memo dropped on every floor, every unit, every screensaver across the network. Treat every patient like they sign your paycheck, because one day they might. The city never found out the full story. They heard whispers about an incident, about a quiet woman with a long reach, but the names were never public. Still, something shifted in that ER after that night. Because that woman? She didn't raise her voice. She just owned the building. Fluorescents hum like mosquitoes. The ER still smells like antiseptic and burnt coffee. And Ms. Thornton, our quiet storm in heels, is still sitting there, hours deep into a weight she never should have had. Breathing ain't much better. She's pulled tighter than piano wire. But she's not making a scene. She's watching, calculating. And then he walks in. Tall, white coat, smug face. The attending. You know the type, slicked hair, clipboard like a weapon. Voice 2 octaves too loud. He clocks her, sitting in the lobby like she's clutter. Doesn't ask, doesn't check. Just makes the mistake of talking. "Ma'am, you can't be here all night. This isn't a shelter." Loud enough for the room to hear. She doesn't blink, just lifts her head and tilts it, real calm, real deliberate. "And you are?" He smirks. This is a man used to getting the last word. But before he can deliver another ounce of arrogance, her phone rings. She taps it. Speaker on. The voice is smooth, professional, clean power. "Ms. Thornton, The board is ready for your input on the new chief medical officer appointment. We're holding the vote until you log in. And that's when it happens. The silence. Real silence. The kind where even the machines stop beeping for a second. The kind that makes you wonder if the room got colder or if your spine just realized it's in danger. The nurse from earlier, the one who asked for insurance like it was a border wall, goes ghost pale. The doctor. He literally takes a step back, like she's radioactive. Because in that instant, everything flips. She stands, slow like molasses in winter. No rush, no drama. Just control, reaches into her purse, pulls out a badge. It's not laminated. It's not plastic. This thing glows. Matte black, gold embossed, minimalist, elite, chairwoman, Avalon Health Systems, and boom. Game over. No more questions. No more ma'am. No more shelter comments. Now they're staring at the owner of the building. The woman who signs the million-dollar checks. The person whose single vote can reroute careers, approve new departments, or shut them down. The attending physician starts to stutter. His mouth moves, but nothing lands. The nurse grabs a clipboard and suddenly pretends to care deeply about paperwork. Ms. Thornton doesn't gloat. She just speaks, smooth, clipped, final. I've been watching how you treat people who can't fight back, who don't look like me, who you think don't matter. She steps closer to the nurse, not aggressive, just close enough. I wonder how many patients like me you've turned away. Then to the doctor. And how many voices you've ignored. She picks up her bag, not storming out, walking out. Like a judge leaving a courtroom, but not before saying cool as January. I'll be seeing both of you again, but next time, it'll be in a different room, and you'll be doing the waiting. She leaves, and the only sound left in that ER is the hum of power shifting, and the distant realization from two very shook healthcare workers that they didn't just mess up a night. They might have ended their careers. She's back in the ER, standing in a silence so heavy it feels like gravity's doubled. No one moves. Not a beep, not a cough. Not even the vending machine dares to hum. She pulls out her phone. No hesitation. No please. Just steel. Get me HR, legal, and the boardroom ready by 10 a.m. tomorrow. Emergency session. Click. That's all it takes. And then she turns, slowly, like she's been waiting to do this for years. Her voice, velvet over broken glass. You're not just facing disciplinary action, she says, eyes locked on the frozen staff. You're facing a reckoning. Every word slices. Nobody dares interrupt. Even the janitor in the back stops pushing his mop. Whispers ripple through the ER like wildfire in a dry forest. Phones are raised, cameras already rolling. TikToks are being born in real time. Somewhere out there, someone's captioning it. When your whole hospital gets put on blast by the boss herself. The patients, yeah, they're watching, wide-eyed. Some of them know that look, that rage without the theatrics. That type of calm that only black women who've swallowed years of disrespect wear like armor. And then, she drops it. The line that freezes everyone mid-breath. I built this hospital for people like me to never have to go through what I just did. And now I'm tearing down the part of it that forgot why it exists. Damn, that hits like thunder. You could feel the walls lean in a little like they were listening too. The nurse from earlier, shaking. The doctor who joked about the shelter, mouth dry as dust. He tries to speak, but she holds up one hand. Not a finger. Not a dramatic wave, just a hand. And it says everything. You're done talking. Someone in the waiting room mutters, "Oh, she about to clean house." Another patient, a young woman in a hoodie, whispers, "Finally." Because this wasn't just about a bad night. This wasn't just a rude interaction. This was years of systemic disrespect, bubbling up, spilling over, and now getting lit like gasoline under a match. And Ms. Thornton? She's not walking out quietly this time. She turns to her assistant, who's just caught up, tablet in hand. face pale but determined. I want full employee files on desk by sunrise. Names, roles, disciplinary history, patterns. Yes, Chairwoman. Oh, and pull security footage from the last 90 days. All shifts. Triage desk forward. Someone audibly gulps. She looks back at the frozen staff one more time. I don't care if you've been here 20 years or 20 minutes. If you treated anyone like you treated me tonight, you're gone. And with that, she walks out. Not storming, not flinching, just moving forward like the damn force of nature she is. The glass doors part for her like even the building knows better than to get in her way now. And behind her, chaos is brewing. Texts are flying. Group chats are lighting up. Some are panicking, some are celebrating, because reckonings don't ask for permission. They show up, knock down doors, and leave behind new rules. And this one just got real. The sun ain't even up yet, but Avalon Health Systems is already on fire. Figuratively, not literally. Not yet, anyway. Inside the glass-paneled tower that runs this city's healthcare, like a corporate cathedral. Panic's the new perfume. Phones are buzzing non-stop. Emails flagged urgent are popping like fireworks. Execs are walking fast, talking low, sweating through silk. Why? Because Ms. Thornton didn't sleep. She didn't rest. She read every complaint, every dusty file someone tried to pretend didn't exist. She pulled up records with timestamps so old the system barely recognized the format. And you know what she found? A pattern. It wasn't just one bad night. It wasn't even 10. This hospital had been running on bias and brushing it off with fancy HR lingo and hush-hush internal resolutions. She found case after case, mostly black, mostly brown, mostly women, who came in hurting and left with nothing but bills and trauma. And then came the intern. Her name's Issa, 22, Latina, first gen. Still got a cracked phone screen and a backpack that smells like ramen and library carpet. She wasn't even supposed to be at the intake system that day, but she saw the emails flying and stayed late. She starts digging and damn near drops her coffee. 2 months ago, a black mother shows up with a feverish newborn, no insurance card in hand, scared, shaking, told to come back when she had proper documentation. 37 minutes later, EMS wheels that same baby in, unconscious. That baby almost didn't make it. Guess who the triage nurse was? Yup, same one who turned away Ms. Thornton. And it wasn't the first time. Issa pulls the logs, screenshots everything, takes it straight to the CEO's office like her badge is made of fire. Thornton reads it, doesn't speak, doesn't blink. She just turns and says, "Call legal, get me risk, and prep a press conference today." By noon, the media's swarming. Every outlet from local BuzzFeeds to national watchdogs are lined up. Cameras pointed, mics stacked like it's Oscar night, but without the glitter. Ms. Thornton steps up to the podium. Black pantsuit, no jewelry, hair pulled back like a general about to go scorched earth. The hospital's logo is lit behind her, but the real spotlight? It's all her. She doesn't clear her throat, doesn't fidget. She just delivers. Denying care is not just malpractice. It's a moral failure, and it's systemic. Mic drop. Not literally, she ain't that dramatic, but you could hear the gasps. She lays it out with surgical precision. The buried complaints, the biased triage practices, the broken intake process that favors skin tone over symptoms. And then, she says something that shakes the damn building. We didn't build a healthcare system. We built a caste system in Scrubs. You could feel the walls tremble from the inside out. She doesn't call out names yet. But make no mistake, this ain't over. The board behind her looks like they just watched a ghost walk through the press room. Some are stunned, some are angry, and one guy in a pinstripe suit is definitely Googling early retirement options. Reporters yell questions. Twitter's melting down. At Avalon, reckoning starts trending before she even leaves the mic. And Issa, she's still in the back, watching, shaking a little, because she just handed a match to a woman who'd been sitting on a forest of dry kindling. Ms. Thornton walks off stage, doesn't stop, doesn't gloat, just pulls her phone and says, "Get me the names of everyone who touched that intake log and didn't report it. We're not done." And no, she's not. Because the system is shaking. Cracks are showing. And for the first time in years, people inside the hospital aren't just afraid of screwing up. They're afraid of being seen. It starts like a whisper, low and shaky, easy to miss if you weren't paying attention. But Ms. Thornton, she was. By now, the press conference has exploded across every platform known to man. People are mad. People are fired up. But most importantly, people are talking. And then, bam. First whistleblower steps up. It's a white nurse, older, tight bun, deep lines on her face. She looks like someone who spent decades following orders with gritted teeth. But today, she's done being quiet. "We were told to prioritize polished patients," she says, voice caught somewhere between guilt and rage. That was code. We all knew what it meant. Polished, not sickest, not most urgent. Polished, meaning white, well-dressed, insured, articulate. The ones who looked like they had somewhere to be. Her words go viral in under an hour. Then comes the email leak. Subject line, VIP versus others. Yeah, that was real. Somebody thought it was smart to write that in print, in a hospital, a literal life or death environment. The body of the email straight up listed how to discreetly identify high-priority patients using visual cues and demeanor. It's racism with a blazer and a clipboard. Within 48 hours, the boardroom's on fire. PR firms fired. First-class panic mode. One exec tries to resign. Another tries to pivot the narrative, talks about staff shortages and miscommunication. Please, nobody's buying it. Union reps show up demanding reform like it's a hostage situation. Nurses are crying in break rooms, not because they're innocent, but because the game's finally up. But while the institution spirals, Ms. Thornton, she's just walking, not in stilettos, not with cameras trailing, not with security flanking her like a visiting dignitary. She's wearing hospital slippers, comfortable, soft-soled. Just like every other patient, she moves through the waiting room like she belongs there, not above anyone, with them. No entourage, no clipboard. She just sits, next to a tired dad with a toddler asleep on his shoulder, next to an elderly woman clutching a worn-out inhaler, next to a teenager scrolling through cracked glass with a busted wrist. And she listens. No speech, no flash, just nods, questions, real conversation. Then, that night, no press team, no filter, no spin. She records a video in her office. One shot, one chair, one woman. She tells her story, the ER, the dismissal, the treatment, the silence. Then she says this: "I've been building hospitals for 20 years, and I just learned I was building one that wouldn't treat me." And people felt that. It hits the internet like lightning. Retweets in the hundreds of thousands. Comments flood in. Black women say, "That's happened to me." Nurses admit they were trained to ignore problem patients. Even doctors slide into the replies with, "It's time, we need to talk." Avalon Health's name, once tied to glossy brochures and elite partnerships, now it's trending for every wrong reason. Shash code. Polished. Shush patients, not profiles. She built. It they broke. The board tries to damage control. Too late. Because the collapse of silence isn't quiet. It roars. And once truth starts speaking, it doesn't stop for anyone's comfort. And Ms. Thornton? She's not done, she's just getting started. Weeks pass. The headlines cool, the hashtags fade. But the fire? It's still burning, just deeper now beneath the surface. From the outside, Avalon Health looks the same. Same sleek glass walls. Same perfectly landscaped bushes. Same overly expensive sculpture out front that no one really understands. But inside, it's a different world. Gone are the whispers of polished patience. Gone are the quiet judgments disguised as protocol. Gone are the power players who thought they were untouchable. Equity-based retraining, mandatory across the board, from janitors to surgeons. Every last employee sits through it. No fast passes, no opt-outs. The vibe is different now, less compliance and more confession. Some cry, some argue, some quit. And some finally get it. That old administrator who'd let complaints rot in silence. Shown the door. The ER nurse who treated bias like it was standard issue. Fired. Publicly. That smug doctor who dismissed lives like they were diagnoses. License. Suspended. His "I didn't mean it" didn't mean a thing when the board reviewed the footage. Now he's home, watching his career collapse one LinkedIn notification at a time. And Ms. Thornton? Yeah, she's still the biggest change of all. She calls a press conference, the final one. Reporters expect fire again. Another righteous takedown. But this time, she stands in soft gray slacks, simple white blouse, no script, just clarity. "I'm stepping down," she says, calm, clear. Voluntarily. The room freezes. Cameras flash, jaws drop. But she keeps going. Because reform shouldn't come from the top down. It should come from the ground up. I've spent decades leading this system. Now I'm stepping aside to let someone rebuild it. The silence is different this time. Heavy, but not tense. Reverent. "I'm not leaving in shame," she says, voice soft but unshakable. "I'm leaving to make space for someone who's been on the receiving end of this system their whole life. Someone like I once was." A pause, a breath, and then the last line. Justice in healthcare isn't about machines and medicine. It's about dignity. And you can't scan for that. You have to see it in each other. Mike, still standing. But the moment dropped. Across the city, people listen. Some for the first time. She doesn't cry. She doesn't wave. She just nods once, steps away from the podium, and disappears into the crowd. Not as a CEO, not as a figurehead. Just as someone who changed the room. The next day, her replacement is announced. A black woman, mid-30s, former nurse, raised on the South Side. The first thing she does? Opens a community feedback clinic in the same lobby that once ignored its own. Because now, every voice matters. Avalon doesn't heal overnight. It still has its cracks, still stumbles. But now, there's sunlight pouring through the places that used to stay dark. And somewhere on a quiet street in a modest house, Ms. Thornton wakes up with no alarm, brews her own coffee, and smiles, not because the work is done, but because now, it finally started.